Alright everybody, today I'm going to show you how to do the lightsaber effect in Premiere Pro using the masking tool. Now this effect is actually super easy. It might take a little bit of time, but you'll be able to master it right away. So all you need is a video of you and your lightsaber, and a lightsaber sound effect you can download off the internet. So start by dragging your video into the timeline. And I'm going to right-click and unlink the audio so that I can delete it. Alright, there is my video. Now as you can see, right now there's no blade on the lightsaber, it's just an empty hilt. We're going to change that, obviously. Alright, so go back to the beginning of your timeline. And you're going to start by importing a color mat. Now to do that, you're going to come down to this little piece of paper icon that's called New Item. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up this menu. And you want to click the one called Color Mat. It's the second to the bottom. And you can adjust the different settings as you wish. I'm just going to click OK. And then you are going to want to get a plain white color. Hit OK, you can name it. All right, and now there it is. Now you're gonna drag that on top of your image, and you wanna expand it so that it's the same size or same length as your video. Now click on that layer, and it's gonna bring up the Effect Controls panel up to your left. What you wanna do is you wanna go to the opacity, and you want to turn it down to maybe 30, just enough so that you can see your video underneath. Now this is where we start masking in the lightsaber. So watch your video through until you kind of see where the lightsaber is first going to appear. That for me is going to be around here. So I'm just going to move it until I get exactly to that spot right there. That's where I'm going to want the lightsaber to appear the first time. So what I'm going to do is if you go up to the opacity settings, you have a circle, you have a square, and you have the free draw tool. That's the one that we want. And if you click on it, it's going to pop down another menu that says Mask 1. So now if you go over to your screen, and again, make sure you have the lightsaber layer selected. If you go over to the screen, now you're going to notice that instead of having your selection tool, you've got this little pen tool thing. And you're literally going to draw the lightsaber on here with dots. It's like a connect the dots sort of thing. So I wanted to start here. We can zoom this in a little bit to make it, wrong way, hold on. Okay, we can zoom this in a little to see really where we want this to be. And you're basically it's gonna make dots every time you click, and you are going to, I do four dots, click them to where the lightsaber blade would be. Now for me, the lightsaber is coming out of the hilt, so it's gonna start kind of small. All right, now that we've masked that layer, what that's done now is it's basically cropped that color layer to just be in this little area. So now if you go back to the opacity, you know how you turned it down before, turn it back up to 100, and now you'll see that's all that's left of your little lightsaber layer. You've made a mask of it. Now the most important thing you gotta do, you have to remember this, is to go up and click Mask Path right here underneath where it says Mask 1. There's a little stopwatch by it, click that. And what it's done now is it's made a keyframe. So every time we change that mask, it's going to keep what we already had instead of just changing it for the entire duration of the video. So it's very important. Before you do anything else, hit that little stopwatch, make sure your keyframe shows up. So now what we can do is go to the next frame. And to do that, you can there's arrows up here next to Mask Path, there's arrows down here next to your play button. But just go to the next frame of your video, and then go click on where it says Mask 1 again if your little dots disappeared. It'll bring them back up, and now you're gonna just drag them over to where the lightsaber would be now. So So for me, that would be about here, as my lightsaber is getting longer. Okay, and then you click again, and if you look over here, it's got that other keyframe. It automatically put it there since you clicked this stopwatch thing on. So now if you go back, it's going to follow your lightsaber between those two areas. That's what we want. So again, click to the next frame, move your lightsaber to where it would be now. Maybe about there. Click to the next frame, drag it now. As you can guess, you can see, whoop, there we go. This is gonna be a pretty repetitive process to mask out this lightsaber, but that's okay. It's all worth it in the end. So there we go. Just keep resizing it. Go to the next frame. All right. So, as you can see, that is basically going to be our process for our entire duration of our clip, is going to be to mask this out and where our lightsaber is going to go. So keep doing this for the rest of your clip. Keep drawing out where your lightsaber would be. Keep making sure that the keyframes are being set for each spot it's in. And when you get to the end of your video, pause, come back to this video, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so here we are. I have finished masking in my lightsaber. It's looking really, really good. Pretty happy with how it's turning out. Took a while, but I got there, so I'm liking how it looks. All right, before we go on and do anything else, go back to the beginning of your video and hit play and just see how it looks. See if there's anywhere that you might want to change or just do some touch-ups to. The next thing we want to fix is this little piece of white that you can see here. And I'm going to zoom in closer so you can see better what I'm talking about. On that rock, do you see that right there? That's our mask of our lightsaber. If you go back and look, that is the mask. See, there it is. That's when it first, oops, go back a frame. That's where it lines up with the lightsaber. But before we get there, it's still just sitting on that rock. We don't want that. That doesn't look good at all. So we're gonna have to kind of play with the opacity here. And now opacity is just how visible or transparent your image is. And right now it's turned all the way up, but there shouldn't be any lightsaber on the screen at this point because the lightsaber hasn't come out yet. So we shouldn't be seeing this on the rock. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit so I can see these keyframes clear. I'm gonna go so that my little timestamp is directly on top of the first keyframe where my lightsaber needs to appear, where I want it to appear. And then I'm gonna go back to the mask panel and the drop-down menu to where it says opacity. And where that little stopwatch is, I'm gonna click it and make a keyframe. Okay, so I have a keyframe right there that says 100. It's turned all the way up. That's exactly where I want my lightsaber to start at. Then I'm gonna go down and I'm going to click to the frame directly before that, before I want my lightsaber to appear. And I'm gonna go back to that opacity and I'm gonna make another keyframe that's at 0. So now that little white spot that was there is gone. You can't see it. And if I go back, whoops, there we go. If I go back and I play this now, my mask won't show up until I want it to. It won't sit there on the rock. It'll come when I want it to. There we go. All right, so the next step is to make this look a little bit more like a lightsaber. Right now, it kind of just looks like a rectangle, which is cool, but not really what we're going for here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this look a little softer around the edges and have more of a glow to it. So to do that, we're gonna start by copying this lightsaber layer 4 times. We have 5 layers in total. All right, so there it is. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna drag all of these layers so that they are on top of each other. Okay. Now we're gonna give it more of that softer look by messing with the mask feather. And so if we go over to our effect controls panel here on the left again, you go down to where it says mask, and under mask path, which is what we did before, the next one below it is mask feather. This is what we want to mess with for this part. So each of these layers is going to have a different mask feather value, and it's going to give it kind of a glow look. So we're going to start on the top layer, and you're going to go to mask feather, and you're going to change it to 120. And already you can see that glow kind of taking shape. Then you're going to go to your next layer, you're going to make it 60. Go to the next layer down, you're going to make it 30. Next layer down, you're going to make it 10. And the last layer, 3, which is where mine already is. Now, if you want to mess around with this a little bit and kind of, see if there's anything else you like better or kind of just looks more natural to you, feel free to mess with it and see what you want. These settings tend to work pretty well for me, but maybe you'll find like maybe having 36 instead of 3 down there works well. It's totally up to you, mess with it, but those are kind of the generic settings to really get you started. And I actually kind of like how it looks with 36 down here, so I'm going to leave it at that. You mess around with it, find the setting that works best for you, and then keep going. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to add another layer underneath all of these lightsaber layers that is going to give it another extra glow kind of feel to it. Okay, so to start, what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag and highlight all of your lightsaber layers, only the lightsaber layers. And you're going to drag them up just one spot up on the timeline so that you have an empty space here between your lightsaber layers and the image or the video layer. Then you're going to go back down to the new items button. You're going to go to another color mat, and this time you're going to make a black one. All right, there we go. And you're going to drag that into that space that we just made, and then you're going to extend it out. All right, so now you're probably going, why did we do that? Now we can't see the video, that defeats the purpose. Okay, I know it's kind of weird, but trust me, it's going to make sense, and it's going to give the lightsaber an extra glow once we finish. So what you're going to do now is you're going to highlight all of those layers again, not your video layer, just the different mask layers and this black layer. And then you're going to right click on them all, and you're going to go to the option that says nest. When you click on that, you can title it whatever you want. I'm going to title mine lightsaber. And what you've done is you've taken all of those individual layers and you've condensed them into one. So it just makes it a lot easier to work with. All right, now what you're going to do, you're going to click on that layer, and you're going to go up to the effects control panel. And under opacity, there should be an option for blend mode. And right now it's set to normal, but we want to change it to screen. And once we do that, now it looks more like this. All right. So it just kind of has more of a glow now to it. I'm not really sure why it does that, but it looks really good. All right, and so now is the time for the part we've all been waiting for. The color. Everyone wants to color their lightsaber. Obviously, that's why they're so fun. So to do that, we're going to go to the effects panel over here on the right, and we're going to type in curves. And it should bring up an effect called RGB curves. All right. This is under the obsolete folder if you want to find it that way, but just typing in curves works a lot better. So you're going to click that, and you're going to drag it on top of your lightsaber layer, and it should bring up these 4 different graphs here on the left side. And now what you gotta do is literally just mess around with these lines on the graphs. See what they do, see, what works, what you like, what color you want. I mean, you can pretty much get any color you desire using these. So just kind of play with it, see what happens. So I'm kind of liking this green. I think it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go with that. So now go back to the beginning of your video and go on up and click play and see how it looks. All right, pretty cool. Now there's one more thing I want to do just to make this even better, and that's to add sound, because lightsabers are famous for their sound. So I have downloaded a lightsaber sound effect from the internet. You can find them on YouTube and you can download them from there or whatever. And I'm going to click and drag it in here. Now this specific lightsaber effect has a whole bunch of sounds, so I'm gonna have to go and really listen to which ones I want. So, okay, I definitely want that one. All right, so now, last but not least, if I go back and I play my video, it should be pretty much done. So here we go. So there we go, that is how you use the masking tool to make a lightsaber effect. Go and try it. It's a really fun tool to use. It might be a little tedious to mask it all out, but it's so worth it in the end. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it kind of teaches you a bit about how you can use the masking tool to make really, really cool effects for your videos, and I hope that you maybe try it in the future.